If you're planning to open a restaurant in Canada, whether it's your first or your 10th, I can guarantee it's going to take a lot longer and cost a lot more than you ever thought it was going to. I'm Nicole, and I'm the founder of BILD Vancouver, and we help bring your restaurant concept to life. We'll take the stress out of every step of the decision making. Today, I'm breaking down what it really costs to open up a restaurant. Everything from permitting to assembling your team to figuring out all the things that go into a restaurant to opening up the doors and simplifying it for you. Let's start with the number that everyone really wants to know. How much does opening a restaurant really cost? For most restaurants in Canada, I would honestly say that it starts at about $500,000. You can definitely get it lower if you're having a much smaller space and maybe it's just takeout, but in generality, your baseline is going to be about $500,000. If you are over 1,000 square feet, which I would say that most restaurants are, I would say that you are now encroaching closer to $1 million. Your kitchen costs, your technology costs, all the decor, the millwork, everything that goes into it will cost a lot more than what you're probably anticipating. And it's not just about the square footage of the restaurant. You're going to have to factor in several key pieces of the puzzle. The cost is going to depend heavily on three major requirements: the square footage of the establishment, the condition of your lease space. Is this a shell space? Are you taking over somebody's previous existing restaurant? What does it look like? And then lastly, your municipality's requirements. Do you have to rezone? How long are these permits going to take? Where is it? Different municipalities have different timelines. All of these things will go into factoring how little or how much over what you had budgeted the restaurant to cost. Now let's go through and let's break down these three major cost sectors. One area that people often forget about is everything that goes into the store before it opens. This is while you're signing your lease and all your due diligence before your pre-construction even starts. I would say that this is something that people probably don't budget for and don't think about, and oftentimes can tip them over the edge. This will cost anywhere from about $10,000 to $30,000 depending on the size and scale of your restaurant or retail project. Things within this are going to be your legal fees, your architecture fees, different city fees, consulting fees, land analysis, your scanning, pouring, things that if you aren't familiar with restaurants, probably just sounds like I'm speaking a different language to you. Something I see more often than not is signing a lease too early. A big mistake that people make is not bringing in consultants or somebody who's familiar with this type of project to see if this space truly works for what you're going to be building. If you go in somewhere and you have a heavy tech forward restaurant, coffee shop, whatever it is, you're going to require a certain amount of voltage. If you don't have somebody who is familiar with either where to look for that, how to check it, you may get locked into a lease where you only have 100 or 200 amps of voltage, and then you're going to have to bring in somebody else later on to upgrade that panel, which can cost upward of $100,000. The second major cost category is going to be your construction and build out. And this is going to be the meat and bread of your project, is obviously this is everything that goes into the physical space. On average, for a restaurant project, I would say that your square footage cost is going to be anywhere from $500 to $1,000 a square foot, which is a huge range, but it really encapsulates from the lower end, and that is inclusive of your kitchen equipment, your millwork package, your HVAC, your plumbing, everything that goes into, if you are flying in tile or granite, things like that could really drive that price up. Something within this that people often forget is that kitchen and ventilation systems are going to be not only the most expensive piece of a restaurant build out, but probably the most important and something that you're not going to want to cut costs on. A commercial kitchen, I should say, for a restaurant will cost anywhere between $80,000 to $600,000, depending on the different types of machines needed, how many, and how big. But this is an area that is going to cost a lot of money, and you definitely don't want to be skipping out in this area, as this is what is going to bring people into your restaurant if you have fantastic food. And the last big piece of the financial equation is going to be your fixtures and your furniture and everything that goes into the restaurant to make the unique touches that makes it yours and brings people in the door. I would say that this can range anywhere from $80,000 to maybe $500,000, depending on how big, how extravagant you want things to go. But this is going to be, your lighting. If you have specialty lighting and it's dropped down, these things just add extras to the bill that maybe you weren't forecasting in the beginning. I always tell clients that this is where you can save or splurge at the end of the project. If you have money left over, absolutely splurge on something in the front of house. This is going to be what clients see. You're going to want them to have things that they can take photos of, something that really draws them in and makes them feel like they are immersed in your brand. At the end of the project, if you're feeling a little pinch for pennies, I would suggest saving on things like tech equipment or things in the back that you can either source refurbished, or maybe you can find a really great deal on something that's secondhand or that isn't as glitzy that the front of house is going to be. A few costs that I always like to mention to my clients that they rarely account for. The biggest one, permit delays. This can account for months of rent that you have to be paying if your permit is in for some type of revision. If there's delays with it, this can greatly impact your project and your bottom line. And this is where I go back to doing your due diligence before you've signed the lease. You want to have consultants come through, make sure your slab band is scanned, make sure that everything looks great on site, as design revisions going back into the city can cost thousands of dollars as we're trying to move piping, HVAC, rebar, drywall, anything like that around in the space. And that's not only going to add time, but that's the cost of the consultants and it's the cost of lost time. Another one that I see all the time that I've actually had on a couple of my own projects is utility upgrades. If you haven't done the due diligence to look into if your HVAC needs upgrading, if your voltage needs upgrading, things like that, this can cost a ton at the end and will be a surprise cost that you actually can't move forward with until this is fixed. And then lastly, this one seems self-explanatory, but I always try to put it out there, is the cost of a soft opening, grand opening, and training. There will probably be a 4 to 8 week window where you are paying for rent, you're paying for salaries, you're paying for extra things, all the deliveries off Amazon to make the store look phenomenal, that you are not getting paid for. And this is something that I always suggest to my clients, to have about a 10% cushion for this window, and then being able to go into your opening feeling set, ready, and totally fine. And these are just some of the things that make a $750,000 project turn into $1 million project overnight. So how much does it really cost to open a restaurant in Canada? It costs anywhere between $400,000 to $1 million plus, depending on the model, the size, and the scale of restaurant that you're going to be bringing into this space. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't is proper planning, project management, and bringing in the right team to ensure that this project goes smooth, is aligned with your vision, and ultimately works out in the end. If you're exploring a build or expansion in Canada, reach out to the BILD Vancouver team. We'd love to map out what it looks like to bring your vision to life. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos on construction, development, real estate, and all things in between.